Hello guys, welcome back to Ophthalmology on the Go. Today we are going to study the corneal diagrams and their color coding. So when we are doing a corneal diagram and color coding, we need to draw two figures of the cornea. One is the front view, and the second is the slit section. Now we'll go through the color coding of all the colors and the pathologies in the cornea and assess what is the importance of the front view and the slit section. Here is a sample question for you all. This is a case of a corneal ulcer. I just want you to look at this picture for 2-3 seconds and we'll come back to this picture at the end of our video. First we'll assess that for the color black, what are the color codings and what can we draw. This dotted circular mark that is there is for the bandage contact lens depiction. It depicts that there is a bandage contact lens in situ. These black dots and these black opacity, this defines corneal opacities. Corneal opacities are inactive lesions, right, which is basically the cornea has scarred at that place, and also corneal dystrophy. In the slit section, it is important to write about the depth of the corneal lesion or the corneal opacity. If it is less than half, 1/3, more than half, and that is more than half, and that is how we grade that if the opacity is macular, leukomatous, or nebular. Now coming to the color blue. So with the blue color, we denote the Descemet's membrane folds by a vertical S-like motion of the blue color. So this is the DM folds. With blue dots, circles represents microcystic edema. And blue dots represent epithelial edema. Again, in the slit section, it is important to describe the depth of these edemas and the depth of these lesions, which help us assess the severity and the pathology because of which the edema has occurred. Next is brown. Brown color is usually used to denote keratic precipitates. So keratic precipitates are basically the leukocytes that are present which have happened in reaction to an inflammatory process and have stuck to the endothelium of the cornea. So you can draw keratic precipitates by using brown dots. So it is important to, when you're looking at the keratic precipitates in the slit lamp, to note the size of the keratic precipitates, the arrangements, if they are arranged in the arch triangle or if they are diffuse in nature, and if they are mutton fat like KPs or granulomatous KPs, and if there are pigments on the endothelium as well with the keratic precipitates. And the same keratic precipitates on the slit section are depicted in this fashion. Now coming to the color red. Red, when used on the conjunctiva in this dot-like fashion or just the red shade, is used to detect congestion. When you want to depict circumciliary congestion, if this is your diagram, you can depict circumciliary congestion in this fashion as well. It is important to know the difference between conjunctival congestion and circumciliary congestion, right? So go figure that out and let me know in the comment section what your answer is. With red, we also represent ghost vessels. So these dotted red lines represent ghost vessels. These solid red lines which are branching out is known as the vascularization of the cornea, blood vessels in the cornea, which is vascularization. I have another question for you all. Why do we call the vascularization of the cornea as vascularization and not neovascularization? Well, you have seen that if there is a neovascularization or any blood vessels, new blood vessels at the iris or even the retina or on the disc, we call it neovascularization. But on the cornea, have you ever heard the term neovascularization being used? So I want you to find out why it's called vascularization and not neovascularization when you're referring to the blood vessels on the cornea. Fine, those are two questions that I've asked you, and please make sure you put it in the comment section. Another representation with the color red is a hyphema, where at the inferior part of the anterior chamber you shade the hyphema as red color. When you're representing the hyphema, it is important to write if the hyphema is diffuse or settled, and the size of the hyphema, the height of the hyphema, right? And in the slit section, you denote it in this form and also write the size of the hyphema. Yes, so that was the color red. Now coming to the color green. With the green color, we depict any epithelial erosions and in the epithelial defect. So the thing with epithelial defect is that a lot of people make a green outline and then shade it green. So when you do this, when you shade it green inside, you don't have any space left to draw any infiltrates that should be drawn with yellow at the center of the ulcer or the epithelial defect. So it is wiser to just draw the outline of the epi defect and then mention its size in the like a 3 into 4 millimeter or whatever you get the size, and then the center is left blank so that you can color it yellow if there is an infiltrate or if there is a scarring or if there is an edema. So scarring, you will use the color black. If there is edema, you will use the color blue. Okay, and similarly in the slit diagram, you will mention the size, the depth of the epithelial defect, and if there is associated any edema or infiltrates and so on. So that was all for all the colors that we use in the corneal color coding. And coming back to our question diagram, which was of the corneal ulcer. So we'll one by one just discuss all the things. So in a corneal ulcer, what are the findings that we note? Obviously, if it is an ulcer, we see an epi defect, we can see an infiltrate, we can see Descemet's folds and corneal edema surrounding the epithelial defect. We can also see a hypopion and conjunctival congestion. Right? So one by one, how do we draw a epi defect? With what color? Green. Green we outline, right? How do we draw an infiltrate? With the color yellow. We shade the center wherever we have seen the infiltrate. It could also be at the edges or any satellite lesions in case of fungal ulcer. Descemet's folds are drawn with the color blue. So surrounding the epithelial defect, we can see that there are a few epithelial DM folds, right? Corneal edema, that is also drawn by blue colored dots. Hypopion is drawn by the color yellow, and congestion of the conjunctiva is drawn with the color red dots. So here you can see that the front diagram and the slit diagram both are correlating. Here the thing that I have marked as star, these lines, these dotted lines are basically corresponding the markings on the front section of the cornea with that on the slit section. So I have drawn an epithelial defect here with the green color. You can see this green color marking outline that you have is there. That is the epithelial defect. And this epithelial defect superior part and the inferior part are correlating with that drawn on the slit section, right? So the dimensions are correlating. Even that of the corneal edema on the front section starts at this point and ends at this point. And if you extend it into the slit diagram, it is starting at this point and ending at this point. Same points, right? Corresponding. Even the infiltrates that you can see, infiltrates are slightly above the corneal epithelial defect, and those places are also correlating with that on the slit section. the dimensions of the hypopyon that we have drawn, that is also correlating as that on the slit section. So one assignment, go back and see a patient of corneal ulcer and try drawing a slit section and a front view of the cornea with the color coding, and get it checked by one of your consultants or seniors, or you could also post it on the comment section, or if I could give you my email, you could send it to my email and I could correct it for you. So if there are any more questions about the corneal diagrams, please leave them in the comment down below. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, and I hope it was helpful. Thank you.